The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And AJ Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
Right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me tonight is, I'm not sure who that is. What in the living hell are those, AJ?
I'm sorry. These are the coolest glasses of all time.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of pit vipers. It sounds like you haven't.
Not
but
really. Sorry.
I guess you're just
They look awful. Sorry.
And with it. These are fantastic. A, because look at them. B, because they fit over my regular glasses. C, because it helps me look like my own shirt.
You know who else wears sunglasses over their regular glasses? Like 80-year-old men that walk around Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, not in Florida. I don't ever plan to live in Florida. I just plan to keep it real.
That just
here
means you're
in
as
Maryland.
cool as they are, I guess.
And maybe I'll pick up a rascal tomorrow. Who knows?
He kind of looks like PC Principal from South Park.
That's right.
Nice.
That's right.
Nice. Mike LaPlante, our producer, stepping in there. Anyway, guys, we are going to get you ready for Week 15 of the fantasy football season. This has been an interesting week, to say the least. We will get to all of that. Right now, we are watching the Chiefs and the Chargers play. It is the Chargers 14-10 right now. Not a lot of fantasy noteworthy players have scored outside of Herbert. So, yeah, we're hoping for more there. And I guess thankfully, at least Austin Eckler played, and he's so far unscathed. AJ, don't say anything because you're not, I don't want you to put the jinx on him.
I will not.
Anyway, before we jump into things here, let me remind you guys to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, the follow button, leave those reviews. We all appreciate it, and it helps us in every way. Let's do our beer of the week, shall we?
All right.
Beer.
What you got tonight, man?
Oops. Sorry. I hit mute by accident. Oh,
Fine, don't talk to me.
Fine, I won't. This show's going to go great.
It might.
I'm drinking the Mispillion Beer Artist Series Threat Level Purple. It is an 11%er Imperial IPA. It just brought about the need to quiet dogs.
Dogs approve.
Bring a light to things, because we got a really fun message on our phones today about threats to schools and this and that.
Oh.
So yeah, we're going threat level purple now. All right. And my dogs are hopefully not going threat level poople somewhere over in the corner as they fight each other. But
Good times.
I mean, play. They're playing. So
Great times.
yes.
All right, I'm drinking an Aslan Beer Company. It's called Generic, I think, with a J. Dogs also approve of this one. It is a
They like it.
3X dry hopped triple IPA. It's a 13%er. After the week I've had with contractors in my house that are still in my freaking house, they seemingly won't leave this week. Yeah, I need this 13%er. It's been a hell of a week. So,
They agree.
Big Mike just caught a big pass down the sideline there. Anyway, let's jump into things here. I think we've got a little message for everybody.
We do indeed.
Your dogs
Dogs.
are feisty.
This is my read, not yours. Mine. Anyway,
They look at each other like, what?
yeah, they did. They stopped and they're like, okay, whatever.
Give it 2 minutes.
So yeah, this is I'm gonna start things off here with it'll tie into our next segment here, but I would like to promote the beautiful Arizona Cardinals cup that my older daughter, Olivia Faith, got for me as a Christmas present at her school's Polar Express shopping event. So thank you very much, Liv. I love it. It's a great
Solid.
cup. New water cup for me. And yeah, it is. It's like literally a very solid cup, and it's like it's not going anywhere. So it's a water cup for now. Might turn into a beer cup sooner or later.
It looks better than any other cup you could use. I know that for a fact.
Yes, it does. It does indeed. So again, calling it here now that I have this Cardinals cup. They are going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. You heard it here first.
AJ just put his drinks on.
Hopefully I did not. But that will lead into the Santa season that it is, because this was a Christmas gift for me. Ladies, you need to get out there and get your men the Christmas gift that brings new meaning to the term Santa sack. Okay? We have the plethora of the Manscaped goods that really just blended everything. So I'm just going to go back here. Again, we've got our 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner, smells of man and brawn, and delicious shampoo goo. We've got our body wash, also very fragrant, very manly. We've got the crop cleanser. This here is for your groin area. All right, this is a gentle groin wash, not too rough, but just the right amount. You've got, obviously, our friend, the Lawnmower 4.0. That's right. And one of my more recent purchases, the Manscaped Weed Whacker. All right. This here is for your nose, your ears. That's what I use it for. If you decide to go elsewhere with it, that's your business.
I don't think you want to do that.
I would not recommend it. It's designed specifically for nose and ears. So go with it there. But yeah, this thing is, this is top notch, man. It goes in, cuts. It's like you barely feel it even doing anything. But then you come out and you're like, yeah, that's nice. So
yeah, all good stuff. I've used all of that stuff as well. It's great products, definitely worth getting.
Use our code.
Remember, yep, use that code.
Our code is there in the ticker. 20% off, free shipping. People still rocking this thing out with the number 6P, number 2, number 0, F6P20, 20% off. Get yourself some Manscaped. Bring the Santa sack home and enjoy the holidays next to the fire.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, let's jump into this. And, cannot start talking about week 15 without talking about COVID. Man, we went all season, it felt like, without a lot of impact, right? And then all of a sudden, just bam. I mean, we've got well over 100 players on the COVID IR list right now. We've got the Browns getting wrecked. Both, their first two quarterbacks both on the list now. We've got Houston getting wrecked by. We've got Washington getting destroyed by the Rams. I'm terrified that Cooper Kupp is all of a sudden going to land on this list because my Scott Fishbowl dreams would be bye-bye. And a lot of people, you made the playoffs because of that sucker, man. Just
part of it, yes.
Let's be
most
real.
Of it.
You drafted him kind of late, and he's been an absolute beast.
He's definitely been the best player on my team. But
by far,
I had a very quick appearance in the playoffs, but I think I had more wins this year than maybe
first two combined,
3 times the amount that I had the first 2 times. So yeah,
pretty
solid. I will take that.
How do we navigate all this COVID talk, man? Like, and here's the thing, like, it's not all done yet. Like, we're gonna see more players go on it. We're gonna see players come off of it right before the game. The ones that are actually vaccinated that can actually clear protocol. And it's really uncertain. And I'll be honest, man, I was trying to do my rankings today before the game and just going, like, I don't even know where to go. Like, a lot of these guys, it's going like, I mean, do I rank Jarvis Landry? Do I not rank Jarvis Landry? I have no idea. Like, Jalen Waddle got thrown on it, but we don't know if he could actually clear in time. OBJ, we have no idea. Like, it's just sort of like, what do we do? And then, what say you lose a Cooper Kupp? Like, I mean, just, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, what do these teams do? You can't replace a Cooper Kupp. So, like, I mean, where do you go with all of this?
I mean, that's a detrimental loss right there because of how good he has been this year. Likely you might have some depth backup because he was drafted later. Much later than his productivity has been. But, there's still injuries. There's still, especially with running backs. I mean, running back is just absolutely barren this year. And then you have this coming in, and what, Miami is down to, I don't know, they're like fifth string back at this point.
We don't even know yet. Like, we don't know who's going to clear or who won't
they're
clear by
going
this point.
to be sending people up to the Amoroso's Roll Factory in Philadelphia to find somebody, literally just a body, to put behind Tua, and then Tua's going to be the running back.
Yeah, I mean, we know Gaskin is on there. We know Philip Lindsay's on there. We know Ahmed's on there. Malcolm Brown could clear, and then there's Duke Johnson. So it's like those are the two that we're looking at, and it's like if only one of them is active, like I'm all in because it is the Jets. Even if both are active, you kind of wonder, like, could you use them? It's just, again, that's where it's iffy. Like, and who do you trust who's filling in the back, the back end, filling in for these guys, like last week, right? It wasn't COVID related, but we saw Keenan Allen not play, right? Or no, it was COVID related. Sorry. We saw Keenan Allen not play. And like in DFS, right? It's easy. You throw in Guyton, you throw in a Palmer, you just hope one of them hits because they're dirt cheap. But like in your regular lineups, like it's not that easy. Because you would hope you have somebody that you think is better, but like those guys are going to fill in, and like we're gonna see players this week that go off that people probably hadn't heard of, like or didn't think were in the league anymore. It's gonna be super crazy, and it just adds one more headache to trying to set lineups, and it honestly it stinks more that it's happening during the playoffs than it does like if this were to be like week 6 or 7, right? We got like just destroyed by COVID. Like you've got the rest of the season to make up for it. This is the playoffs, man. You lose, you're out. Like there's nothing you can do about it. You just hope you have the bye this week. And unfortunately for Scott Fish, the bye week was last week for those teams. So like I'm stuck, trying to deal with it along with everybody else. I get it. But it does hurt. Like if you lose, especially somebody that has the impact of like a Cooper Kupp, right? If you lose somebody like that, you're not making that up, man. You're just not. So it does stink that, we're having to deal with this. But I mean, it's just something everybody's got to keep an eye on. Go look at, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give a shout out to CBS Sports. They have a great link of players on the COVID list right now. It's a long URL. Maybe I'll probably throw it in the show notes. But it gives a great list of who's on the COVID IR right now. And so you can keep track of it. And that way, if for some weird reason, like you weren't keeping up on the news, this is a good place to go for it. And it is an exhaustive list, man. It really is. So yeah, I mean, it's just something to keep an eye on. Moving on here, I actually want to move on to the next probably big news here. And that's Urban Meyer. Finally being fired I mean, about damn time. After everything that happened earlier in the year, and like, there's just been talk back and forth between a whole lot of people, all over social media and in the news, talking about all the crap that he's doing. There, calling out coaches, calling out players, this and that. I think everything came to a head last week when they just got embarrassed and they finally fired him. I think we all agree that that's good for the organization. But what do we look at for this team going forward, at least short term, like this season? I think the main question that probably is on most people's minds is, what do we do with James Robinson? Because he's been sort of in the doghouse. Some of it has been fumble related.
Yeah.
But Urban Meyer, I don't know. It's like almost like he didn't like the guy, and now the coach that is stepping in for him has come out and said that he's going to be the starting running back, and he will be treated as one. So, I mean, it's coach speak. Who knows? But, I mean, James Robinson, I think, has earned that.
He has. I mean, you look at what he did last year. He came out of nowhere, was like one of the best waiver wire pickups of the season to come in and win leagues for people. I mean, that's how much of an impact he had. And people thought this year, me included, and apparently the dogs, that ETN coming in was going to just all of a sudden be the new running back. I mean, the guy was great in college, but it's a different game. And I think Trevor Lawrence will be one to tell you that right now. He even had a college coach come in with him, and he's gone this early in the season. I mean, it's not really early in the season, but there's still time left, and it's his first season. He's done. He's out. And I think a lot of it was, I think it revolved around the PR thing too, because of the type of, ego and I guess, I don't want to say force that he is in a press conference, but presence, like the presence that he brings with him to the press conferences. He just doesn't look like he knows what is even going on.
Oh, I mean, he's said it. He's said stupid things many times, like, "Oh, there's a much different game," and "Oh man, I couldn't believe how good some of these teams are." Like, it's like you're playing the best. It's like you're playing Alabama every week, or like, no kidding.
Yeah, because Alabama churns out like 12 first-round players every year.
Yeah.
So you should know that. You played them at Ohio State. You played them for a long time at Florida. I mean, this isn't anything new though. I mean, go call Spurrier, go call Chip Kelly, go call all of the other, go call Saban from Alabama. Look what he did. He was successful in college, came up to the NFL, stunk it up, went back to college, and if he ever leaves college again, he's an idiot because there's no reason for him to.
No,
everybody
he's
wants
good
to come to help him roll tide over freaking the entire NCAA. So, I mean, he's a great coach. I won't take that away from him, but he's not. There's not many college coaches that have come up to, the varsity league, if you will, and have succeeded.
Yeah. So back to James Robinson. So here's the question. Like, do we, now that Urban Meyer is gone, do we trust James Robinson again, like immediately?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think I do too. Especially with, granted, it helps that we've got 5 million running back injuries, so you might not have a choice. But I do too. I'm plugging him back in after 2 very disappointing weeks, 3 possibly. It's just, you got to hope that the new coaching staff wants to like lean on James Robinson and maybe take some of the pressure off of Lawrence, and maybe that's going to only help Lawrence not feel have like he's got to go win the game with not a lot around him. So I'm
Wow.
looking forward to seeing what this team can be with a new coach and a coaching staff in place that actually knows what they're doing, and seeing Lawrence progress into hopefully the quarterback that we all think he can be. I know I took him in dynasty drafts last year, and he's obviously been a huge disappointment. I wasn't expecting anything grand from him this year, but I was hoping for way better than what he has been doing. And honestly, he's been getting worse as the season goes on. So I think I'm not alone when saying that I'm really praying for somebody to come in that knows how to coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And the fact that the last thing I'll say on this too is, Darrell Bevel has been a target, in interviews for head coaching positions through the past few years. And Lawrence has come out and talked about it. Shaq Griffin's come out and talked about it, that this is just a clearer team now. We have clarity. We have, somebody who's even keeled, and that's what they need. Like, they need somebody that can just get everybody together and try to unify after Meyer. I don't know if he necessarily tore the team apart, but just with the way he was, I don't know. It was childish.
Yeah, he's definitely you do things my way or the highway type of guy. I've never really liked some of the the way he talks in college about, like, you could tell, like, he almost like talked down to players and coaches, like, if things went wrong, like it was never really his fault, it was always their fault, blah blah blah. Like, that's the way it kind of came across, and you're like, in the pros, man, that's not gonna fly. So and it didn't, and people are definitely
players
like, no.
don't get fired, the coaches do.
Yeah, so
if you can't make your team believe in you as a coach, you're gone. And the comparison I would have, again, this will be the last thing that I say. You look at Detroit and how bad they've been this year. Dan Campbell, his players love him. He's a player coach. I feel like he's very good at keeping things team centric and team mentality, and taking accountability when he needs to.
Well, and to back that up, right, you can see players still trying to play for him. Detroit is being competitive in games, right? They're not just rolling over and dying like the Jags have been doing. And so, yeah, I'm 100% with you, man. Like, you've got to get that locker room under control, and he didn't have it, and so it's about damn time they moved on from him. And speaking of moving on, we need to move on to our next topic, and that is, last week, it's sort of a hey, maybe we missed the boat on this guy, but I kind of came out of nowhere, right? Rashaad Penny, man. So we had that segment last week where it was like, who's your surprise league winners this year? A name we did not mention was Rashaad Penny. Came in.
Whoops! What a mistake.
I mean, let's be real though. Like, how in the hell could we have ever imagined Rashaad Penny coming out of literally nowhere and doing what he did last week? I believe it was 26.3 half PPR points. Now, granted, it was Houston, but I mean, he's barely touched the ball. They've been giving the ball to Alex Collins, who's terrible. And obviously earlier in the year it was Chris Carson, and he was also hurt for much of the year. But like last year, right? He came in, at the end of the season, and is now doing well again. Now, of course, he was it last year or 2 years ago that he did it? 2 years ago. I'm sorry, 2 years ago. Yeah, he came in. And week 12 and 13 and 14, he had 18, 24, and 21 fantasy points, and then got hurt again. So I mean, look, tone it down a little bit maybe, but look, he only needs a few weeks to stay healthy. Can he do it and be the league winner with a total lack of running game in Seattle?
I think after what he's shown when he's been healthy and given opportunities, he's been pretty dominant. I think that looking at that 19 season, it was against Philly, against Minnesota, and against the Rams. He ended up getting hurt, so he didn't put up big numbers there. But he had a great game against Pittsburgh in week 2. And he was only 37% snap share in that game. But he still went 10 for 62 and a touchdown and then had a catch. So
he gets the Rams this week, which is going to be kind of tough. He gets the Bears next week, which isn't a cakewalk either.
No.
Then he gets the Lions. Like, if you can get to week 17 with him, he gets the Lions. Like, that's an interesting one. But, I mean, I still think, obviously, with just the lack of healthy running backs at this point, Penny's a guy who I'm plugging in. I mean, a couple of my teams have been absolutely decimated at the running back position within the last 4 weeks. I've just lost literally everybody. I randomly pick up Penny last week. It was Saturday. I'm out at this hardware store picking up tile for this contractor who needed more tile, and I'm in there and ding ding ding, three alerts went off all within 5 minutes of each other. All 3 of my running backs went out for the week, and I'm like, oh, sweet. So I dropped a bunch of people, went out there, and was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll pick up Rashaad Penny. Plugged him in, 26 points. Oh, okay. Thanks. Probably did better than the guys I would have started. Pretty incredible. So I really like him moving forward. I mean, this Seattle team really does like to run the ball. That is their MO. It actually, they do much better as a team when they run the ball well. Wilson included. So I think they want to run the ball. They're going to lean on it first. And then, you get those play action passes from Wilson, and, you get those downfield shots to hopefully lock it if we don't have COVID, and maybe some DK if he actually feels like playing right now. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. It's just one of those.
The other interesting thing, too, is that last week he had that blow-up game, and he still only had 57% snap share. So
who was that?
Penny.
Really? Yeah.
He had sure 16 rushing attempts.
That's going to change.
And it was 137 yards. So his yards per carry were ridiculous, but 2 touchdowns is really what spurned even more of the point output.
Well, of course. I mean,
touchdowns are going to get 100 yards.
Your production
is fantastic, And the week before that against San Francisco, who's a fairly solid defense.
Yeah.
He had 41% snap share, but he went 10 for 35. So,
I still think he's somebody that he's been picked up. He's been picked up everywhere. So there's not really much to say there. But I think he can be somebody who nobody would have ever expected to be on winning rosters this year if he can stay healthy. Yeah. Speaking of winning rosters, so let's get into some fantasy playoff strategy talk, man. And something that we like to do every year. We want to remind people the ways to win your league at this point in the season, right? And so you got here with your main core guys, hopefully, and you've played the waiver wire, you've done well there. I don't think you're getting there without doing any of that, right? And you probably had a good mix of depth to deal with random injuries or deal with bye weeks and things like that, right?
Yeah.
But now it's a different story, right? You don't need to have, the high upside depth guy, right? You're not playing high upside at this point. You're playing the guys who are going to get you the points. And where I'm going with this is, it's time to drop, that second receiver for, I don't know, just name a team, right? Who's kind of meh, he could have a big week, he couldn't, right? And maybe go pick up. I don't think I'm dropping Claypool. Maybe go pick up, right? Those handcuff running backs for your running backs more specifically, right? That's where it's going to be more important at this point in the season.
Yeah.
And where this really comes in, right, is when you've got your running back, right? And say your running back goes down. would the handcuff, the guy replacing your running back, would he be more valuable in the starting role than, say, your depth running back piece? And, like, just an example, right? So say David Montgomery goes down. I think we all it's hard to say now. I would have said Khalil Herbert like a week ago, but they decided to forget about him last week. Khalil Herbert, right? Let's just say it still is Khalil Herbert. He will fill in, right, for David Montgomery. I think he has more value over somebody that you might have stashed on your bench, like, say, even like a Ramondre Stevenson, right? Who you're going like, yeah, I mean, he's got value, but am I playing him over Herbert or Damian Williams, right, if those guys get the start? So that's what I'm saying. I want those guys on my bench to back up. To back up, if I'm a Montgomery, if I roster Montgomery at this point, those are, that's just one example. There's many out there, but like, I think that is 100% the way you have to go. With your rosters at this point is you need the backups, you need the handcuffs to your own players. Now, of course, receivers don't really have true handcuffs. It's hard, like. Your fourth receiver isn't going to fill in for your number one. Like, it just doesn't work that way. It really just doesn't. So, like, you just need to go find the next best guy at that point. And it's more running backs. And I want to ask you, because you're closer, you kind of follow the team more than I do. But what about Philly, man? Like, say Miles Sanders doesn't play. Who's the guy you want there, or do we just not care?
Honestly, I don't. I don't know if we do care, aside from the fact that, again, the running back landscape is basically injured. It's hard though, man. I think I'd rather, if I had to choose between a Boston Scott or a Gainwell or even a Howard, to try to trust in a flex position over a more consistent receiver or even tight end. I'd be kind of hard pressed to do it because I don't know who the volume is going to go to. It's been so hit or miss each week with them, and especially in the beginning of the season when Sanders was healthy, they didn't even run the damn ball.
Right. Yeah. But that offense has totally changed, it seems like, and so for the better.
It has. They realized that they need to get the ball to Sanders, and the more touches he gets, the better he is. It's an interesting situation with Hurts and Mustache Minshew. I mean, if Hurts struggles and then they put Minshew in, maybe they look a little bit more to the running game to supplement more so than they have with Hurts in there because he is more mobile. But they got to get away from him being the running game. So,
but yeah, especially with the ankle, they're not even really sure if he's going to play this week still.
Exactly.
Still up in the
you
air.
Can't even trust him. So I think that I would rather look elsewhere on my bench for more upside, more, higher floor guys than maybe I catch lightning in a bottle with a Boston Scott.
That's a situation where, like, maybe you do keep the split backfield of like an AJ Dillon or a Ramondre Stevenson, right? And like just play, just you've got that kind of safe-ish floor, maybe not the ceiling, but like, I mean, you could literally miss with Scott or Gainwell or Howard and get like a 2. And then, or you get hit.
I did that
and get a 20
earlier this season.
I'll tell you another guy that I absolutely want as a handcuff, like if I'm a Nick Chubb owner, is Dearness Johnson.
Yep.
Hunt is banged up, and we don't know when he's going to be back yet. He's a guy who is absolutely there.
Yeah, because once Hunt came back, everybody dropped Johnson. I held him for a week or so, but then Hunt came back, and I think I cut him loose in a couple of the leagues.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had to. I mean, I get why you do it.
I'm not starting him at that point, so I needed to fill other spots, again, with safer bets. But it's like, Well, okay, Chubb's been kind of banged up a little bit
Yeah.
here and there this year. Hunt's been banged up, I feel like, most of this year.
Yeah.
And Johnson's come out and played very well.
He's been very
overall.
He's done very, very well. I think again, it's one of those. I don't think I'm rostering Johnson unless I have Chubb, just because like he's worthless on your bench. Otherwise, like he just does nothing for you. You're not playing him unless Chubb goes out. I mean, like you could take the chance and just like, hey, if you got an open roster spot, sure, why not? But I'm not really caring a whole lot about it. Otherwise, I guess the other team that really kind of catches my eye when it comes to, who's the backup, right, is San Fran. And, of course, Elijah Mitchell might not play again this week, out with a concussion possibly. We have to see if he practices tomorrow. But let's say, he is out and, maybe can't play the rest of the year for whatever reason. Do we want the backup there either? Like, I'm not sure Jeff Wilson's been what we hoped. Hasty's not a guy that anybody seems to care about. Sermon's out. So, like, where do you go there if you're do you just jump on Wilson and hope? Or is there, like, that's maybe where you go after, like, maybe you keep, like, say you had, like, a Sonny Michel, even when Darrell Henderson's back, and you just play him and hoping you get more of a floor there, or like a Latavius Murray, and maybe that's a bad example now because he's been crappy. Maybe a Madison if he doesn't have COVID and can play even with Cook around, like maybe you get the higher floor. Like that's where it gets cloudy for me.
Yeah. It's just hard to go out and try to figure out which way you want to go. I mean, you want to look at it as we've talked about with, week 1, week 2, with you got to play your studs. So you go out, you plug your studs in, but then if they have dud games, you got to look at matchups too. Mm-hmm. So that's really where I try to focus it, level of stud versus matchup, and then level of matchup versus, do I really want to start this guy?
Well, yeah. And another one just that I just thought of is like when Mark Ingram can come back and play.
Yeah.
Is even with Kamara there, is he a guy who you would rather play over some of these handcuff running backs that, like a Jeff Wilson, say?
I think I would. I mean, Wilson, I'm not afraid to take a shot on, depending on what I'm going for. Like, obviously you're hopefully going for the championship, but Hasty is worthless at this point to me. With Wilson, you kind of know what you're going to get, but with Ingram, he stepped up and he played well in Kamara's absence. He knows the system. He knows the team. It's a little different from when he was there before, but
I mean, no Drew Brees maybe is a little different.
I guess
just a little.
But he's got, if Hill remains the starter, which I think he probably will. He's mobile. He can get out into space a little bit, kind of like Drew Brees could, and make things happen. And honestly, I don't really feel like the Saints are going to do a whole hell of a lot this year in general. So, I mean, why not? Why not rest Kamara if he's still got lingering issues and whatnot? Assuming Ingram can come back from COVID and be healthy and go, that I like it. I would much rather play him over some of these other guys because you know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I think he's got. I agree. I think he's got a pretty safe floor, even with Kamara healthy. Ingram does that. You can plug him in ahead of some of these. I mean, it also. I hate to have like the cop out answer here, but it does depend on your situation. Like if you need the super high upside guy, then maybe you don't play the Ingram, unless Kamara is out, right? But I think in some cases, like, you can just go for that safe floor. Like, if you've got the team to back it up and you just need safer points, then that's the way you go. Anyway, that's another strategy that we talk about every year is stashing defenses for your playoff run. And look, at this point, again, it kind of goes into you don't need all that depth on your team. We're not worried about bye weeks anymore, right? You don't need to stash that depth. At this point, though, you really want to be able to set the best lineups every single week. And one way to do that, if your league uses defenses, is to stash defense. Like, look, of course, if you've got somebody like, I would have said the Bills 4 weeks ago, but they've been sort of meh. But, you got the Rams, right? You've got these top-notch defenses. It's hard to sit those teams, right? But if you've been sort of mixing and matching defenses all year, now's the time to go get them now so that you're not having to fight everybody on the waiver wire every Wednesday morning, right? Or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah. Pick them up now if you haven't already started. I mean, I look at defenses, of
course,
all season. This is my favorite thing is to just track playoff defenses or just players in general. Like, okay, well, yeah, this guy's
AJ's the reason why we can't get rid of defenses in our fantasy 6-pack league. He's a jerk.
Me, I don't care. I'm happy to get rid of them.
I'm kidding.
But I am a traditionalist at heart, so it's just a topic you got to look at because,
of course,
defenses
lots of people still use them
and kickers can dictate a matchup.
Of course, easily. Yeah. So let's look at some
almost more so than your known quantity players.
Yeah. So let's look at some defenses here that we want to target. And I'm going to start here, and I'm going to say a team that's playing right now, who obviously you probably didn't want to target this week because they're playing Kansas City, and I think their roster percentage is low because of it, is the Chargers. They are down, according to Yahoo, they are down around 50%. So you've got as Mike LaPlante wanted me to say, you got a 50-50 chance of finding them in your league, right? But their playoff, if you get through this week, right? They get Houston next week, which, Davis Mills is okay, but let's be real, it's a rookie quarterback. It's also Houston; they stink. Then you get Denver, and Denver's had some games where they put up some points, but they've also just got a lack of offense. Like, if that run game does not get going, they're gonna struggle big time. So those are two phenomenal matchups for a team that has been pretty good all year on defense, to be honest. So I like them as the defense that I would want to go after. Of course they got Bosa, so they're getting the sacks, they're getting the interceptions, and that kind of stuff. So it's looking good all around for them.
Yeah, I don't want to be a complete homer here, but. Am I taking yours if I
that's
do
fine.
this?
Go for it, man.
Yeah. Philly. There's 39% ownership.
Yeah.
Fairly rightfully so, but
they've been all right actually, man. I was
they
actually kind of surprised at how
bad.
good they've been.
They're first against rushing yards. They're giving up 160 rush yards per game. I'm guessing that's good enough for first. So passing yards, they're 31st. So the opposite end of the spectrum at 206, 207 almost.
They're the 13th ranked fantasy defense according to, now this is I don't know what the scoring system is here. I'm pretty sure it's just like standard scoring defense on Yahoo that we're looking at here. But according to Yahoo, they are the 13th ranked fantasy defense. So you're going to get them at 39%.
Yeah.
And with the opponents that they've got left,
with most teams, you have 12 team leagues is probably the most common, 10 or 12.
Yeah,
they're right outside of that number, and usually half of that number makes the playoffs. So why not? You've got Washington, Giants and Washington, and this Giants game is at home, so I think this is
Which,
their
by the way,
chance.
could be Mike Glennon still, because I'm pretty sure Daniel Jones is done for the year.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, even the first game was a defensive struggle. I mean, 13-7, the G-men won. So again, hats off to you, Keith. Congrats, you guys won a game. Had to do. No, sorry, they've won 4 games, but I mean, Washington's big thing is that they want to run the ball. So if you're relying on Gibson and whatnot, McKissick's still not back. He's more of a passing guy, anyways. But I mean, those are 3 very winnable games for Philly. Two in a row at home. Then they go on the road to Washington for Week 17. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see them split with Washington, but they need to win. I mean, they basically need to win out to be playoff eligible. But I don't hate this matchup.
Those games could be defensive struggles is basically what it comes down to. And we've seen it many times where Washington has been much better as of late. But, as we saw last game, they're very turnover prone too. So it can and will happen, I'm sure, again at some point. The last kind of overall defense, if you're just trying to pick up 1 or 2, I guess, that you can stream here, is the Bears. And they get Minnesota this week is actually a really bad matchup. And LaPlante and I were talking about this early on. I was actually shocked to find out that they have allowed the least number of points to fantasy defenses. Why? Because somehow Kirk Cousins has only thrown 5 interceptions this year. What? That blew my mind. I just learned that today. But after that, they get Seattle, who has been struggling. Wilson's still not Wilson. That team's just not the same, man. They've been turning the ball over, and Wilson is still getting sacked at an incredible level. That's been his MO his whole career. And then he gets the Giants in Week 17. So the Bears have a fairly nice 16-17, and if you can match them up with the Eagles this week, who get Washington, or a couple of these other, if we're gonna go through one-offs here in a couple of weeks, for the last 3 weeks here, then that's one where you can get one and then just use them the last couple of weeks and not really worry about it. So that's just something to think about too. If you've got limited bench spots, that's the way you have to go about it too. So go ahead and give some of your favorite Week 15 onlys.
Yeah, so Week 15, I kind of broke it out by these 3 weeks to just pinpoint some teams that, if you are going to stream defenses, you could start these guys this first week and then let them go. You don't need to keep them on the roster unless you really just don't have a better option. But I mean, you're looking at Miami going up against the Jets. Miami's defense has been great, as of late. They were a little rougher early in the season, then they've kind of found their way. This is a great matchup for them. I love Miami this week. Probably my top pick for this week. You've got Cleveland. I know that they're banged up offensively and whatnot, but they're going against the Raiders.
Without Waller again, by the way.
Waller's going to be out. Moreau's done okay.
Nothing.
I mean, he had one really good week the first time that Waller missed, but since then he just hasn't really done much.
The team's in shambles, dude. But it does kind of scare me to use Cleveland this week only because of all the COVID issues. And they're going to be on their third string quarterback.
They are shorthanded.
With a lack of offense could really hurt the defense, especially in leagues that use points against. Now, in all of the leagues that I run, I moved it to, we voted to change it to yards against. So you don't get penalized for when the offense does really crappy, turns the ball over a bunch, and then you let up a 20-yard touchdown drive. You get penalized 20 yards instead of the touchdown. Because honestly, like, there's only so much you can do at that point. You know, like,
Yeah.
But yeah, so
they're one of my picks for
yep, that's a good one.
for this week, even though they're a little more high risk, high reward. But then both these next two teams face each other in a divisional matchup, and you've got Houston and Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams suck, and both teams have defenses
I like
that
Houston
could
a
actually
little
show
bit.
up.
I like Houston a little bit more here. Houston has actually shown up a few times, like the very middle of the season. All of a sudden, like Houston got really like interesting on defense. It was like, whoa, they're actually playing well.
Yeah,
I mean, then we realized he sucked again, but it was still just kind of like,
yeah,
oh,
it's like
interesting.
never.
All right. Yeah, that is I do like that pick.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of like Jacksonville next week. You know, in week 16 too, because they get Miami's opponent this week, the Jets. So
do.
you could stream back
They're
to back.
just such a rough defense, man. They're just so bad. That's the only problem. They are just atrociously bad.
Now that the clarity is there, you know, the team somehow has a direction.
The talent's not there though.
No,
that's the biggest issue.
They gave it all away. You know, I mean, all the guys that they had from a few years back, when they had that dominant playoff defense, they're gone. So, but again, it's the Jets. I don't hate that matchup. Cincy is another one that
I was just gonna say them if you didn't. I was gonna say them in week 16.
One, you know,
one that might surprise
Baltimore.
people.
Yeah, I mean they're. I think they're around 15% ownership too. So you should be able to get Cincy.
And so probably something that might be raising an eyebrow to people is going, wait, you want me to play the Cincy defense against Baltimore and Lamar Jackson? Yeah, by the way, everybody, the Ravens have allowed the 7th most points. Doesn't matter. Even if he's not there, even if he is there, the Ravens have allowed the 7th most points to defenses all season long.
Yeah,
he's throwing picks. They're fumbling. He's throwing sack. You know, he's getting sacked a lot. It's something like it's just they're off. They're scoring points, but again, the one thing that we harp in the offseason every single year is when you pick your defenses, you want defenses that can go get turnovers and sacks. That is literally all you care about. Almost every team is going to score 20 points a week. Right, your points don't really matter. You just don't want to play Tampa Bay, right? Like, I mean, come on, that's really all there is to it. Because Tom Brady doesn't turn the ball over and he scores 40 on you. So, like, what are you gonna do?
Yes.
You know, like that's.
Well, whoops.
That's you know.
You say that, and Baltimore in their first matchup on October 24th in Baltimore got shellacked by Cincy 41-17. So they didn't even hit the average 20-point threshold that we're talking about here. And honestly, I mean, Baltimore in general, their record could be almost flip-flopped because of all the comeback games that they've had and the record-breaking kicks that they've had to win games. I mean, are they a good and talented team? Yes, but I just don't believe in them this year because, and especially with Lamar out. I
mean, he might be okay, but I still don't believe in him. Honestly, I really don't. I mean,
I just think,
but like you look at the interceptions Lamar's thrown. I mean, it's what 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 13, 14. He's thrown 14 interceptions. They've lost like a dozen. They've lost a half dozen fumbles. They've allowed 3 touchdowns. It's just a lot, and they've been sacked a lot. I mean, and it's just unbelievable. Like, you knew the running game was going to be a problem, but like I didn't expect it to, affect the amount of times Lamar was going to get sacked. You just figure Lamar is going to figure out how to escape and get out of there. But they are a team that you can actually target on defense and do fairly well. Like, even if they let up 30 points, you might get a pick, you might get a few sacks, you might get a fumble. Yeah, you're gonna have a good day out of that. So I do like that one too.
Anybody else you got for week 16?
I keep wanting to say week 15. How about Atlanta? They get Detroit.
Yep. I was just looking at that.
Atlanta has actually not been nearly as bad as you think. They have been in the low single digits a lot, but lately 6, 6, 7, and then 13 last week is against Carolina. So against a bad team like Detroit, who knows? They could do it again. Goff. I mean, they've been playing better, as we just mentioned. They're trying to play for their coach, but yeah,
I don't even know. Stop.
Live podcasting.
Somebody apparently came downstairs and now they're freaking out.
But yeah, it's that would be the only other week's 16 team that I would really look out here. The next week though, you get Seattle against Detroit, which is kind of interesting, but Seattle's been. I mean, they've been better than Atlanta, so I guess if I'm going to pick Atlanta against Detroit, I got to pick Seattle, right? So might as well do that one.
And it's in Seattle. Both of those games are away, actually. So
yeah,
I do like Seattle a little better at home. 12th man syndrome, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you get the Giants versus Chicago, which, I mean, Fields is, maybe turning some things around here, but still a rookie quarterback. You still like to target those. He's gonna probably have at least one turnover. Indy versus Vegas. So that's a good one. They're actually only 54% rostered, which is shocking. But, I mean, I get it. This week they get New England, and then in week 16 they get Arizona. So you don't want to use them for, you could use them this week against New England. Although New England just doesn't turn the ball over, man. They really don't.
Yeah.
That's kind of the weird thing about them. So they're like the team that's like, yeah, they don't score a lot of points, but you're not getting a lot of points off of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm trying to think of where they're 22nd in least most points allowed. What's your last one?
The other one I was going to mention too is, well, there's two that I kind of like here, and it's actually both against the AFC North. So you've got Green Bay on Christmas Day playing at home against Cleveland. If Cleveland still
that's week 16. I was looking at week 17 already. I moved on. Sorry.
Oh, did you?
I was done with week 16.
This fucking guy. All right, well, then I'm going to go back to week 16 since you seem to not have more picks. But, Green Bay on Christmas Day at home in Lambeau. It's probably going to be snowy. It's probably going to be COVID-laden, COVID-toe-laden, everything. It just screams, brilliance. And then, Kansas City is another one. They play Pittsburgh. Again, at home. It's on Sunday. These are higher ownership defenses, a little bit, but Kansas City's sitting at 61. Green Bay is at 71, but these could be defenses. Maybe somebody just drops because
Green Bay, the person who had Green Bay might have panicked and saw Baltimore for some random reason and then panicked.
Yeah, and they're like,
and they shouldn't have.
No.
And again,
great
first, I'll be honest, I was shocked to find that Baltimore was actually a good targeted defense. I'm in so many leagues that don't use defenses. I don't look and evaluate them as much as I used to. So when I had to go look at the numbers today for this show, I'm going, holy cow, Baltimore, they stink against defenses. That's crazy.
So back to week 17.
Yeah, I guess week 17 again.
Seattle,
I think Indy, Seattle could actually be good in week 16 too. We missed that because they are playing Chicago, who I mentioned, for New York.
Yeah, that could be a little lower.
That could be an interesting one. Week 17 is tough, man. There's actually not a lot out there that I really love. Chicago against New York, I guess, could be another one right back.
Yeah. The ones I put down here, and again, this is highly unlikely unless you already own them. But
Yeah, there's no
Buffalo
way Buffalo's-
against Atlanta, I like that matchup. Again, Atlanta hasn't been terrible as a defense, but they don't have much of a running game aside from my championship winner and Mike Davis. So he could run all
It's a
over
good one.
Buffalo.
It's a good one.
But that could be it, And the other one I like here is San Fran over Houston.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
those are two very, very highly rostered
much higher.
defenses.
Yeah, and again,
So, yeah,
this is
good luck with those.
if
But-
people have them just stashed on the bench, but have a better matchup. Maybe they drop this person, or this defense for, whoever.
It's going to be tough to drop San Fran through the playoff run here. Atlanta, Tennessee, and then Houston. I don't think anybody in their right mind is dropping this defense.
Yeah, they were going to
is
be
on
my other
fire right now. So
you can't really stash them, but if you already own them, you're holding them.
yeah. So, all right, man. Let's jump through the injuries, and man, we're gonna have to rapid fire through some of these, and maybe
the
skip a few.
NFL is injured.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
COVID.
Next.
By the way, I went out and bought, because just to let you guys know, I don't drink all IPAs. I do have a Christmas. It's so shiny, dude. It's the winter lager from Sam Adams. Sorry. So I do drink other things. I do like Christmas lager. I do like Christmas ales. So I will.
Yes. Well,
probably buy
in the
another one of
Christmas
these for
spirit, I also had a green from my boy Mr. Stephen Ashby. Shout out.
All right.
This is another Treehouse Brewing. 7.5.
You just rubbed that in my face, man.
I am.
You
And I
really
actually drank
are.
this before the show, but I've been sipping, the last little remnants of
okay.
what I
You're a
had,
jerk.
just so I couldn't throw it directly in your face and make you green with envy.
Nice.
Threat level.
All right. Lamar Jackson, as we noted earlier, did not practice today, dealing with that ankle injury. Josh Allen dealing with a toe injury, limited practice today or Wednesday. Sounds like he's probably going to be good to go. Joe Burrow dealing with that finger injury that you heard a couple weeks ago, limited practice today. Sounds like it's good. Baker's out on COVID. Aaron Rodgers is questionable with a toe, didn't practice. I'd honestly be shocked if he didn't play, but hey,
COVID
I'd be, yeah, right. Daniel Jones, questionable with a neck. Got a limited practice in today, but I don't know, man. Like, something just tells me like he's not playing. Jalen Hurts,
can't bank
ankle.
the franchise on this dead season, can they? Keith, can they?
Keith's on vacation. Leave him alone. Jalen Hurts dealing with that high ankle sprain, limited practice today, so we'll see how things go for him. Big Ben dealing with multiple injuries, didn't practice so far this week, so keep an eye on him as well. Going to the running backs. Wow.
Where to start?
So, yeah. So, obviously, we know Jamal Williams on COVID. Darrell Henderson's on COVID still. I feel like he should be able to come off. That's been 2 weeks for him. Madison's on COVID. Mark Ingram's still on COVID. That's been a couple weeks for him, so he should be able to come off. I'm trying to go through all the COVID ones because those are. Alex Collins hit COVID today, so even more reasons why you should like Penny this week. All right. Other news. James Conner dealing with an ankle injury, didn't practice on Thursday. We've also got Edmonds coming back this week. Hopefully. We thought he'd come back last week. Didn't happen. Got Kareem Hunt. He's done with the ankle. Javonte Williams is questionable with a knee issue. Limited practice on Wednesday. Sounds like he's trending in the right direction. Teammate Melvin Gordon, questionable with a thumb and a hip. Limited practice Wednesday. Sounds like he's probably going to play too, so we're back to that split backfield, but they've both been balling out, dude, so it doesn't really matter. DeAndre Swift, questionable with the shoulder, didn't practice Thursday. Sounds like he's on the wrong side of playing, so yeah, cue up whoever the hell played last week. It wasn't Jamar Jefferson.
No.
Because that's who I picked up.
No.
Who? What? I forget the guy's name. Chester or something. Oh my god! I was like, who the hell? Anyway, James Robinson questionable with a knee and heel. Probably gonna play. We got Damian Harris still questionable with a hamstring. Saquon questionable with an ankle. Limited practice. We got Michael Carter designated to return. I think there's everything you're kind of like hearing is that, he's probably going to play, but again, just something to keep an eye on. But if he plays, like, I think he's somebody you really want to think heavily about using because he was good before you hit the IR.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, questionable with a knee, didn't practice today. Tevin Coleman, concussion, full participant today, so it sounds like he's good to go. Miles Sanders is looking like he's going to come back from that ankle. Yeah. Elijah Mitchell, dealing with a concussion, still not practicing. And then randomly, Leonard Fournette didn't practice today, ankle injury, so not good news there. He has been a huge boost to teams.
Yeah.
So,
Rojo season.
I was going to say, do we like Rojo? I think it's just going to be all Tom Brady all day if Leonard Fournette is out there. But, it's unfortunate because Fournette has been such a huge PPR back, too. Like, he had been a huge boost. I'd be interested to see if Giovanni Bernard doesn't become very, very interesting in PPR leagues.
He could. I mean,
he actually went to the IR today.
Did he really?
Yeah, I didn't think it was relevant to put it there, to be honest
with Fournette gone, maybe it was. All right, so Rojo it is.
Yeah. I just saw that Rojo was trending, too, and I was like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Just stop. I mean, I get it, but why?
Yeah. All right, let's go through this laundry list of receivers. It's not quite as long as running backs, there you go.
Yeah, it's not as bad. All right, COVID-wise, you got OBJ, you got Tyler Lockett, both out. Landry's been ruled out. Josh Gordon has been ruled out. Who cares? This is the game tonight. Jalen Waddle, which hurts. Kadarius Toney, Sackett Keith. Allen Robinson is questionable on the COVID IR. So he may have a possibility of playing. If not, then obviously look for Mooney to continue on his streaking ways. D-Hop is out. He is doing the surgery to address his torn MCL. DJ Moore is questionable with a hamstring, limited practice today. T. Higgins is questionable with the ankle injury. He was a limited practice Wednesday. MVS was questionable with a back issue, limited practice yesterday as well. Thielen was questionable. He did not practice today with the ankle issue. Curtis Samuel is questionable, dealing with a hamstring. He did not practice today. Manny Sanders is doubtful with a knee. He did not practice Wednesday. I would assume as well today if he's doubtful. DK Metcalf is questionable with a foot and back. He did not practice Wednesday. And Sausage Egg McLaurin is questionable with concussion. He was a limited practice today. But keep an eye on him because he put up a big fat 0 last week. And I am still mad about that. Thanks for, I guess, helping me get to the playoffs in Scott Fish and then completely shitting the bed. Tight ends. Speaking of shitting the bed, you got Austin Hooper on the COVID IR. He is out, and he's the only tight end. George Kittle, after another monster week, is questionable with knee soreness, DMP Wednesday. Darren Waller, we've already said, is out with knee and back issues. Foster Moreau
is. I'm going to see my neck and my back, man. It's not working.
The what? Ow, my neck, oh, my back.
Ow, my neck, my back. That's all I want you to say for some reason. I don't know. None of these injuries keep going that way.
There was, who was the neck?
No, you said something else earlier. It wasn't another back,
Daniel
but it was something else. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So Foster Moreau is also questionable with an ab issue. He was a limited practice Wednesday. And TJ Hawkinson, big blow to
done for the season.
Detroit Dan Campbell, out for the season, surgery on his hand. So that sucks.
It's a huge blow. All right, man, let's jump into our DFS picks and finish the show off here. And I'll lead the way with the stacks and kind of like the automatic plugs and plugins for me. I'm going with Dak and C. Lamb against the Giants. And look, I know there's probably higher point total stacks than these two. But
it's the Giants.
But they're also a little bit cheaper than some of those other ones. Like, look, I like Stafford and Cup, right? And they're one I can recommend. I like Rodgers and Adams. They're one I would recommend as well, if you want to go that route. But maybe a little roster savings, right, is to play Dak and Lamb against the Giants. And yeah, divisional games, they can get interesting. It may not be a slam dunk, but I mean, look, the Giants can get beat up, and Dak's been good, more often than not, and Lamb is always awesome, so I'm good there. So I think this could be one where I think they could be good. Obviously, Stafford and Cup are probably like, if especially without OBJ there, probably this week. I think that's just like, if Cup can actually somehow dodge COVID. Then I think this one is just, slam dunk. 9,000 for Cup. He's worth it, man. He's been demolishing that price. Yeah. I've used him the last however many times I've played. I use him every time. And the other one, I really liked Tua and Waddle before the Waddle COVID news. Like, if he plays, that could be a cheaper stack, and then you could go elsewhere. Like, you could also get an Adams maybe, or also get a Cup and then play that stack. That could be interesting. The other one, especially without D-Hop, is maybe kind of a mix of expensive and cheap. Is Kyler Murray I like AJ Green more than Kirk. AJ Green's been seeing a few more targets. Been producing, actually. Been very good.
He's kind of been,
and they do get Detroit.
A little rejuvenated.
Yeah, look, it's nothing like he was in his past. Like, nobody's expecting that. But, like, that could be, without a Hopkins, right? They're going to probably slide Kirk over into that wide receiver 1 role. So I really think that could be a very interesting one. Now Murray is very high priced, but I think it's pretty good there. Some other smash plays. Obviously, I love Penny at 5,400. I like Gibson at 6,000. I know he disappointed big time last week, but still at 6,000, that's super cheap for the way he was performing even before last week. And I think, despite the Eagles being good against the run, I think Washington keeps this as a closer game, and they can still run the ball. They got behind so quickly against Dallas last week that they had to abandon the run, right? So, and that's what they did, and Gibson paid the price for it. So I like him. And then Brandon Cooks, as we all sort of expected, target monster with Davis Mills there. We saw it early in the season. He got 11 last week. So, yeah, right back at it. Over 100 yards.
It's absurd.
It's just crazy, man. As much as we love our boy Tyrod, just sorry, man. It ain't cutting no more. And then I'm going to give you a tight end one. If he can actually play, how are you not using George Kittle?
Yeah.
He's 7,500. Dude has been an absolute beast. 37 and 42 points the last 2 weeks. Like, even if he does half of that, he's destroying every other tight end on the slate by a mile, outside of maybe Mark Andrews. And without Lamar, who knows? Hey, Austin Eckler got me a touchdown. Yeah.
What's that?
Catfish ball. Sorry for my singing, everybody. I'm just happy. I didn't get a 0 out of Eckler.
LA
Cheers
LA
to that.
defense just got a TD.
Almost. They got
he
down
was
to
down.
like the
He
2,
was
and then
down.
Eckler ran it in. So
Thanks, Mahomes.
on the last drive, by the way, they tried to run somebody else in. He fumbled,
so this is where the
and then
touchdown
Eckler.
Sorry, I'm a little behind.
and then Eckler. They decide this drive. No, we're gonna keep Eckler in there instead.
Oh,
He's
oh,
way
there
better.
it is. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, sorry. I forgot that I'm like 30 plays ahead of you all the time. So, anyway, those are my stacks and my kind of smash plays for the week. Those are the guys that I, mix and match. Like, I'm not giving you a lineup, every week. This is not what this show is for. These are the players that I'm looking at using and mixing and matching and seeing how the lineup goes. And I'm not going to be able to use even all of my smash guys because they're kind of
they're
usually more expensive.
But, well, yeah, that's the point of the smash play. It's like, I don't care how much you cost. I'm
putting you in there at some point, or at least in one of my lineups, right? So I'm going to figure it out. But these are the guys that I'm probably going to look to see how I can build my lineups around more often than not. So why don't you go ahead and give the fades here?
Yeah. So obviously Joe Mixon's got to be a fade right now. I mean, he's been awesome this year and really, kind of quelled a lot of the doubters, but he's had 2 less than stellar games, and he's now got the Denver D. Very, not very loving that matchup. Yep. As the 3rd highest priced running back on this weekend's slate, I think I might pass on him.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is it might be tough to pass up on the higher priced running backs, only because if you look below that, it's IR. Q, and then it's like Gibson, Q, COVID. It's like, holy crap. So yeah, you might not have a choice to play Mixon, but yeah, I think I'd be looking elsewhere. It's a tough matchup.
And then the next one here, staying with running backs, man. Zeke. I mean, he's the 2nd highest priced running back. Mm-hmm. He just hasn't been getting his full workload. I mean, I know the matchup is right, but I mean, come on. No, you can't do this. And then again, you go below it and you're like, well,
yeah, same thing. I mean, it's
okay. Maybe I have to do this.
Well, I mean, like, still with him though, like he's had, 13, I'm rounding up. So 13, 17, 7 and 9 the last 4 weeks in fantasy.
Helping
at 7,300. No, that's not somebody you want to use. Pollard is, looking like he's trending to play, but Clement is there, and he looked okay last week. So like, they're not looking to run down Elliott. They want to use Elliott enough to win the game and just get to the playoffs with him, and then maybe they'll use him heavily. But I don't think they're gonna go crazy with him. Look, I love James Conner if somehow Chase Edmonds doesn't play, but like he's a guy who I could potentially fade. At 6,400, that's not terrible, but like
he's
playing against Detroit, he's also banged up himself. Like there's just a lot of guys here who I'm like, ugh. That's one of the reasons why I picked Gibson as one of my stud, my like smash plays. Is because despite the injuries that he had all year long, and which I am surprised that he's not on the injury list with a stress fracture. He's like the one guy out of like 9 in a row, 10 in a row that doesn't have a question mark next to his name, the Q next to his name for questionable. Like it's just crazy. Yeah. So, that's just another one of those,
and again, come Sunday, a lot of those Qs may disappear, but they could also go the other way.
Yeah, they definitely could.
Or they could just turn into COVID. Who the hell knows? With the way this week's gone, all those Qs could become Cs. So I think this is going to be a very interesting week for the running backs. If you do not
very interesting week in fantasy in general.
Yes, agreed. But
for receivers though, like I had a tough time fading. Like they've really priced the receivers very, very well.
I think
the fades for receivers for me are like, I don't want anything to do with DJ Moore, even if he was healthy going against Buffalo. I know Buffalo's not the same Buffalo now. But this is the week where I've been big on DJ Moore with Cam, but no, with Cam they're like literally like he's rejuvenated, he's back, like not rejuvenated, but he's actually seen like decent target share, like, but it's just not It's just not working. I'm fading Judy, but at 5,400, like, I mean, it's really much of a fade.
Yeah.
Fading Galladay at 53, but like these guys are terrible. So like that like middle tier of receivers are all pretty bad. So like I would fade almost all of them. If maybe get one, if you can do it, get two of the high ones, 6,000 and higher, and then just go grab, I don't know, go grab a Lazard, right, or somebody like that, like dirt cheap, or one of my value plays, Gabriel Davis, 3,700. That is a guy who I absolutely love at 3,700 with Manny Sanders probably out. They're playing Carolina, and yeah, Carolina's been a fairly tough defense all year long. But I think, obviously this team isn't playing the same way that they played early. A lot of these, their opponent rank against them is based off of the early season when they were just like destroying teams. But I think Gabriel Davis is the guy who we all liked early on, in the offseason, and then they signed him Emmanuel Sanders, and things just obviously changed. So I like him as a value play there. I like Michael Carter as a value play, 4,700. If he has to play, but as a high, he doesn't have to be high ceiling at this point, but if he could get into the teens at 4,700, you're super happy. They're playing Miami, which is a tougher defense for sure, especially lately. But I think that's a good one. And then whoever, and I kind of said it earlier, if there is only one healthy running back who has like ever taken a snap in the NFL, from this Miami backfield that starts the game or can play this game, I think you have to play them. Let me give you the price ranges for these Miami running backs. Now, Gaskin is obviously 5,600. He's the highest, but he's out.
Yeah.
Phil Lindsay's out, 4,600. Ahmed's out at 4,000. By the way, it gets cheaper. Malcolm Brown, it doesn't get cheaper. Malcolm Brown's at 4,000. Like, if he plays, I think he's the guy. Duke Johnson, also 4,000. I mean, like, dirt cheap plays at running back, and like, there's just a lot of iffiness at the running back situation where it's like, you know what, I'll pump my RB2 and go pay up elsewhere, and that's the type of thing where I think that's where you can save a lot of points here, and you mentioned defenses, right? I mean, like the Texans are 2,800, like you're talking defenses for this, like Texans playing the Jags, 2,800. Who's playing the Jets? Forget
Miami.
Miami's probably pretty high.
They're probably higher,
Dolphins are the second highest, so I probably don't want to pay up for them. Ooh, and
you might be able to though if you're playing these
I'd probably rather spend
backs.
my money elsewhere, honestly, than on defense. But I mean, I've seen it before where like just like the lineup that I like fits, then I can pay up on defense for sure. I've done it before many times. It doesn't always work, but it does. I mean, again, it's going to be a little bit tougher, and that's why like the fade section was a little bit smaller this week, because it is a little bit tougher because we've got the game tonight and we've got 2 on Saturday, and so that's another thing you got to keep in mind is that we've got that Browns Raiders game on Saturday, and I think who else plays Saturday?
This week. I don't even know. I only have like 2 teams in playoffs that I.
And AJ just cut himself out. So you get me. Hi, what's up, guys? AJ clicked the wrong button. But yeah, so yeah, we get another 2 game day on Saturday, so we get a smaller slate on Sunday. But that is all I've got, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will pick you up next week for week 16. See y'all later.